am Marie LaRue, and today we're going to be talking about using the North Node to fulfill your legacy work. So let's hop right into it. This quote right here is so powerful to me. This is one of my favorite authors. Audre Lorde states, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." End quote. I feel like that's self-explanatory right there. She gets it in. No, but for real, the reason why a lot of us feel stuck, it's a couple reasons for this, but the main reasons are right here. So first, I'm talking to the mamas that keep showing up for everyone else, but you feel invisible yourself, right? So you probably got a few kids, you got them in sports, you got them in activities, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're working, you're doing the most, but you put yourself on the back burner always, always. You're always putting yourself last, your clothes last. That's why you probably look crazy. Your hair last. You know what I'm saying? If you don't take care of yourself, who will? Who's taking care of you? And that might not be your case. Your case is that you are spiritually aware, but you don't know how to apply it practically. You got 20 different business plans. You have all these beautiful ideas, but you don't have a practical guide, a practical blueprint to get you from point A to point B to point C. So you might feel stuck because you don't know which way to go. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing. It's also a type of mama that I'm talking to that is tired of feeling tired. You are disconnected. You're going through the cycles. You're going through the motions, and you are feeling stuck in that cycle. I remember I was going through this at one point in time. It was a point in time where I just did not want to get up out of bed. And some people might call that depression, but I don't like to put labels on things, okay? But when you feel stuck like that, when you're a mother, you can't sit in that energy for too long because the baby starts to feel that and it starts to bleed off into their behavior, into their mental set, their mindset, and you just that it's in you. You just gotta get up, mama. You gotta get up. You can't stay there. But also for the ones that feel like you've been surviving instead of living, you're in that survival mentality. You're living hand to paycheck, hand to mouth. You don't know how you're going to survive. You don't know how you're going to feed these kids. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you get unstuck. So who am I, right? I am Marie LaRue. I help mothers like you rediscover who you were born to become. I use specific points in your natal chart to give you a blueprint of your path to freedom and fulfillment. Why? Because I understand how hard it is to create a life that you deserve, that the kids deserve, when you feel like you're behind the ball, when you feel like the world is on your shoulders. And as mothers, I absolutely know that we are unappreciated. They give us Mother's Day, but truly, if they cared about us, we would have much better conditions. And I'm just speaking on the ones that's living here in the United States, but listen, we gotta be the change. We gotta be the change that we want to see. And this is how I'm showing up to help you get that path, to find your path, to find your blueprint, because everybody's situation is different. You know what's crazy is that here in my city, the hot thing now is the home health care. And it's funny because it's not funny, but it's funny because a lot of people see other people doing things and they're like, okay, yeah, let me hop on that. It's a lot of money in that. Whoop whoop doo. I can do the A, B, and C and D, but this is not what you're supposed to be doing. You're going for this type of business because it's a lucrative business, because there's money in it, because you see somebody else doing it. But baby, you're supposed to be writing that book. You're supposed to be working with those kids. You're supposed to be on your own specific path that has nothing to do with what you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a real big Bible person, but I found this Bible quote and I feel like it is perfect for this type of energy, for this North Node energy, right? This is Luke 15:24. For this my son was dead and is alive again. he is lost. He was lost and now is found, right? And to me, that Bible verse means that we walk around in a daze sometimes, not sure what we're supposed to be doing, where we're supposed to be going, how we're supposed to be operating. A lot of us went to college and went toward our major because someone else told us that's what we were good at. Not because we prayed about it, not because we actually knew what we wanted to do, because we felt that that's what we were supposed to do. We felt we were obligated. Some of us were shamed into the majors that we chose. You know, so I feel like now that I've stepped into my purpose and stepped into my uh weirdness as a guide, I feel like I can help those that are lost be found again. And it starts with your North Node, right? So, what the North Node is really, the North Node represents your soul's assignment. It's the version of you that your spirit came here to grow into. So this is the best area to direct your talents and will. And I got that underlined because I really want to break down what that means. The etymology of the word direct is moving from one place to another the shortest way without stopping, right? So if you look at your North Node in your chart, it's going to show you how to step into your freedom the best way without stopping. This is what you do. This is what you're supposed to do, right? The word talent originally came from the Latin word talentus, which was used as a unit of measure for gold and silver. It represents a large sum of money equivalent to that weight. So if we want to break it down, your skills and your talents hold the weight of your prosperity. If you look at the North Node in your chart, it's going to show you where the money is. It's going to show you where your happiness is. It's going to show you where your best directed for your talents, for your capacity. So just like money holds value due to its capability when used right, it's the same for a person with skills and abilities. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't use it, if you're just hoarding it, then it's no use to anybody. Same thing with your skills and your talents. You have all these God-given gifts, beloved. You have all these amazing skills and abilities, but if you don't use them how God intended for you to use them, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be pissed off. You're going to be repeating the same cycles. Okay? And that's why I use the North Node, because it's the direction that leads to ease, it leads to clarity, it leads to wholeness. You know what I'm saying? If you are, this is like the definition of shifting. You know, the hot term now, quantum shifting. It's not about who you are right now, baby. It's about who you are meant to become. It's that woman, that mother, that life that you know you deserve, that your babies deserve. And that's why I use the North Node in these blueprint readings, so that we can see, so that we can have a overall picture of where you need to go. You can have goals and aspirations, and I want you to tell me that when you're signing up for this blueprint reading, but this is going to give us the framework we need to get you where you need to be, right? So what's the difference between the North Node and the South Node? Well, the South Node is pretty much your past, your past. It's your karma, it's your past lives, it's your habits, it's the familiar dysfunction, that pain that you've been sitting in. It's you being on autopilot. But if you look right here, right? Look at her. The North Node represents your future, your expansion, your aligned effort, your purpose, your fulfillment. Look at her. Don't she look like she's ready to fuck some shit up? She is in her bag. She has her North Node activated because she just got to read it. No, but for real. So I just want to give you some examples. If your North Node is in Virgo, right? That means your South Node is in Pisces, and you're probably drowning in disorganization. You probably got shit everywhere, right? You might be addicted to some type of spiritual escape. It looks different from everybody, and you probably feel like your routines or plans are restrictive or boring. You know what I'm saying? Um, So once you activate your North Node, once you get this blueprint reading, um, you step into that future you that creates daily rituals that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. You start to help others get organized. You start to help others get healthy and become self-sufficient because you are organized, healthy, and self-sufficient. You see, it's all a symbiotic relationship, right? And you may even offer healing services with precision and care because you get that as a natural ability. And I just need you to know that that's how you're going to get your freedom. That is how you activate your freedom. What happens if you stay off course? You're going to stay stuck in those emotional cycles, right? So, for example, if you have a North Node in Aquarius, that fear of rejection or not fitting in is going to keep you stuck in that same emotional cycle of bitterness and resentment. Oh, they didn't invite me to here. Oh, nobody loves me. Nobody wants me to, go with them. Whoop. You got to let that shit go, baby, because that's what's going to happen if you don't activate your North Node, right? You're going to keep repeating that same cycles. You're probably going to work hard, but feel like you're going nowhere. There is nothing worse than putting a ton of energy and time and money into a project just to see it fall by the wayside when things go awry. And I've dealt with this myself. Like I said, I've had many businesses before, but myself, I was scared to go into what I really loved, to go into my purpose, because I didn't think it would be enough money in it. I didn't think it was lucrative enough. I didn't think that I could really handle it. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on your specific chart, one, and where you're at in your life. Are you ready for something different? If you're not, then okay, cool, stay where you at. But if you are, it's time to activate that North Node, in order to be where you want to be, in order to move forward. Because look, do we see the state of the economy right now? Do we see the state of the nation? You cannot stay in the same place you were 5 years ago. The world is changing. Everything is changing. You have to come up out of that slumber. Okay? I'm telling you. When you stay off course, you say yes when you really mean no, meaning you don't got no boundaries, and that's okay. That's okay if you want to stay there. But if you're tired of people shitting on you, then you need to get some boundaries, right? So, for example, um, yeah, again, I'm gonna use no. This time I'm gonna use the North Node in the third house, right? If your North Node in the third house, if your North Node is in the third house, your overthinking makes you second guess yourself constantly. You're constantly overthinking and talking yourself out of these business plans that are meant for you to thrive. You talking yourself out of opportunities and connections because you're intellectualizing your emotions. You know, you don't trust your inner voice because you don't have the guidance, you don't have the support to get to where you want to be. And I just want you to know that your children feel the chaos even when you try to hide it. These babies are intuitive beings and they feel and see everything, even when we think they don't. So you really can't hide it. It's really internalized. So that if that's not motivation enough to get your shit together and activate your blueprint so that you can become the best version of yourself for yourself and the babies, I don't know what is. If you're not motivated right now, I don't know what you're doing. So what happens? This is what happens when you take action, right? You move from burnout to clarity. Right. I remember when I started taking when I started like working in my business, and I remember when I shifted and things became so much easier for me. Like the work didn't seem like work because I was enjoying what I was doing. I was actually loving what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happens when you take action, when you actually fall into alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. You rediscover your voice, your boundaries, and your needs. You stop putting yourself on the back burner. You stop overcompensating or overgiving, and you start working in alignment with the law of reciprocity. You create from overflow, not exhaustion. You began parenting from peace, not pain. And let me touch on this real quick. When you parent from peace instead of pain, the kids are far more agreeable than they would be otherwise. When you parent from pain, you are basically repeating the same cycles that you went through, the same pain that you went through as a kid, or that your parents went through as a kid, because everything skips a generation, right? If your mother had a drinking problem and you never healed that, and y'all never deal with that, your daughter is probably going to have a drinking problem. I'm just saying, if nobody touches on that, if nobody heals from that. So that's why it's even more imperative to get your reading, to get your blueprint so that you can know where you need to go in order to be where you want to be. Because that the parenting, we take parenting so seriously around here. And I feel like everybody born in my generation in the late 80s, early 90s, we have that Jupiter and Cancer placement, right? And that Jupiter and Cancer placement is the family, is the home, is the mother. And that's why we see so many people talking about healing mother wounds, healing generational cycles, because it starts in the blood. It starts with us. It starts with us doing the work that we see that we need to do in order to heal ourselves, heal our babies, heal our bloodlines. You know what I'm saying? And then also, lastly, you start to see signs guiding you instead of breakdown. So just because it looks fucked up, just because it looks like a bad situation, it really could be setting you up for greatness, right? That's a story time later. I'm gonna give you a story time on that later. Last year, I had gotten fired from my job, and my little sister passed away from cancer in the same freaking week. I was grieving, I was stressed, and I was trying to hold everything together because this is the first time that someone so close to me has passed away, right? And I thought I had another job lined up, but they definitely played in my face after 3 interviews stretched out over 45 days. Like, they was really dragging their feet. They just ended up telling me I didn't get it. No explanation, no nothing. It just was like, no. So here I am going back and forth with the food stamp office because they're giving me the blues about my benefits. So I'm really between a rock and a hard place trying to find another job so I can get back on my feet, right? This is when I started working for location services. Now listen, I've never been able to hold a 9 to 5 longer than a year. That's my that's my six house Aquarius. I've never been able to hold a 9 to 5 longer than a year. But I was like, yeah, I could do this. I could do about 3 to 6 months just to get back on my feet, right? And then I told myself, I was like, okay, it's close to home, is the pay is decent, and you get to work from home 2 days out the week. So I was like, cool, I could do this. Listen, I should have knew something was up when they offered me the job during the interview. That was the biggest red flag ever. When they offer you the job on the spot, but you ain't gonna check my background, you ain't gonna check my resume, you ain't gonna check nothing. You just want me to start working. Okay, bet. That was one of the worst jobs I ever had. The managers were rude. The work was demeaning. Basically, it was a repo office, right? The office was cold, literally and energetically. Right before I had started working there, they implemented a no blanket policy, and so I had to either layer up in my business casual work attire or just suffer and just be cold as hell. And for somebody who has suffered from anemia, I just wasn't going for that. But I was like, fuck it, I got to do what I got to do. I'm gonna just make it happen. So it was just a bad place to work. My manager barely spoke to anyone except her best friend, who was also the assistant manager, and the whole place just felt bleh, yuck. Nobody talked, nobody helped, nobody cared. And don't get me started on the training materials. Oh my goodness, this was a Virgo's worst nightmare. It was disorganized, it was outdated, and it was confusing as hell. I would get anxiety just pulling up into the parking lot because I was just hated this job. And I thought that I was like, okay, I was trying to make it work because I'm thinking once I start working from home, it'll be a lot easier, right? It'll be better. It actually got worse, but I'm not going to get into that. I didn't know. I could get into that. I didn't know how the hell I was gonna get out of there, but I knew I had to, so I started praying, right? And when I say praying, I don't mean getting on my knees begging God to fix it, right? I mean devotion. And if for those of you that don't know, devotion means a solemn promise or commitment. It means love, loyalty, or enthusiasm for a person, activity, or cause, right? So I got back into my candle work. I went hard. I got back into my candle work. I revisited the abundance principles that I learned from Mama Ia. I started scripting again the kind of days that I wanted to live because this life was just not working for me, right? Instead of scrolling on my lunch breaks, I took walks and listened to audiobooks and spiritual podcasts. I was in that zone. I knew I had to move the energy first because one thing I know one thing I know for certain, two things I know for sure is when you show up for yourself, the universe responds accordingly. And that's exactly how the shift happened. Ooh, let me tell y'all what happened. So, this was a random Tuesday in October, right? I had just finished walking during my lunch break and I had a few more minutes before I was supposed to clock in. So, I just was like, let me check my email. I looked at this email and I almost deleted it because I thought it was a spam, right? It was an email from Indy Parks asking about some proposals I had submitted over a year ago. Now, I had gave up hope on these proposals, right? They said when I submitted them, they said they get back to everyone and let you know yes or no within a few months. But I didn't hear anything, right? So I thought I just blew it off. I was like, okay, maybe they didn't like my proposals. Wrong. This was a real opportunity, a paid opportunity to monetize my weirdness. I had submitted an anime program for kids and they wanted to bring it to life. Goodness. So we scheduled a meeting with the park managers for Halloween, right? I came to work that day dressed as Minnie Mouse because why not? And I pitched my idea with full confidence and playfulness. And that's everything my North Node in Aquarius represents, right? So there was a catch though. The catch was the grant funding expired by the end of the year, so I had a short window to make it happen, about 45 days. Yeah, because we had the meeting on Halloween, and then the first session was December 21st. So that was about 45 days, yeah. So I was so excited about this, but I tried to keep my job as long as I could, but it was really fucking with my mental health. So I had to let that go. I, and I really have zero regrets. In my mind, I sacrificed that steady paycheck for my purpose, and it paid off. I ended up hosting two cosplay for Christmas sessions for the kids and received an overflow of support from unexpected places. Most of these unexpected abundances, or most of these unexpected places, had nothing to do with the program. That's because that's what happens when you follow the divine blueprint you were born with. That's what happens when you listen to God. That's what happens when you're activating your purpose, right? Now, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Was I scared? Hell yeah. Did I want to cancel everything at least 6 times? Absolutely. But I refused to let fear ruin what God had already written for me. I had prayed for this. So how am I going to let fear overcome what I prayed for? That's insanity, right? So only 16s came to the first session, but the second session, nobody showed up. It was just my family. But it was beautiful though. We laughed, we played games, we ate good food, and created something magical. And the most important part though, I proved to myself that I could turn my ideas into invoices even under pressure. And that's why my story is still being written, right? So my anime program was so successful that I've been invited to create another program this summer, but this one has a twist on it, right? I've also been asked to host a manifestation support group for moms. So if you're in the Indianapolis area, June 11th and July 10th, we're meeting under the full moons to manifest some serious shit, y'all. Be there or be square. So How the blueprint works. Oh my God, why I got the PDF? How the blueprint works. First, I decode your natal chart that includes your north node and other key placements, but I only focus on what you need to stop the chaos and step into divine direction. Yes, this is soul work, but it's also strategy. I'm giving you a step by step guide on how to reach your goals that you put in during the application process, during the booking process, right? You'll within 48 hours, you'll receive a personalized PDF with actionable steps, a natal chart with focus points highlighted, and a recorded audio to follow along if you desire, right? In this blueprint, I show you how to apply it to your actual life, not just spiritual theory. Like that's my thing. I'm talking about practicality here. I'm not talking about woo woo woo. I'm talking about how to get to where you need to be, how to fund your freedom with your faith, right? So, are you ready to remember? I just need to know, are you ready to remember your divinity? If you are, go ahead. Let me show you your map. Let me show you your map because I just want you to know you're not here to guess your way to freedom. Beloved, you can have help. You have support. I support you. If nobody else supports you, I support you because I know what it feels like to not have that support, right? And I want to leave you with this. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. And that's by our good mama, Octavia Butler. If you're ready, let's go ahead and build your blueprint together. Again, if you're in the Indianapolis area, Moonwalkers, a full moon support group for single moms or married moms, moms in general. Um, you can catch me at Facebook at Marie LaRue, YouTube or Academy, or you can email me admin@marielarue.com. I don't have a website yet, so bear with me. And I just want you to know you are supported, you are loved, you are guided. Ashe.